Ladies and gentlemen, you think you know women. Science says you've barely scratched the surface. Because behind every graceful step, behind every warm smile, behind every thoughtful pause, there is a neurological blueprint far more complex than most people realize. When we talk about women's intuition, many treat it like a poetic myth, an emotional guess, or some soft instinct. But science tells a different story, one built on neural pathways, hormone signals, and brain architecture uniquely crafted for perception, logic, and emotional intelligence working together in harmony. Women don't just feel. They decode. They analyze, they sense patterns, emotional shifts, and subtle cues before words are even spoken. Their brains are naturally wired with a thicker corpus callosum, the bridge that connects the left and right hemispheres. What does that mean in real-world experience? It means they don't depend on a single source of information, like logic alone or feeling alone. They operate with both at the same time, a dual system processing ability that lets them interpret tone, body language, emotional energy, and microexpressions faster than most men can consciously register. That's not magic, it's neuroscience. Think about this in everyday life. A woman walks into a room and immediately senses tension. Even when no one has spoken, she notices the slight change in someone's voice, the tightness around their eyes, the hesitation in a handshake. She senses when something is off, not because she's dramatic, but because her brain is reading far more signals. And while the world may call it a hunch, psychologists call it subconscious data analysis. Studies show women remember emotional details more vividly. Tone, timing, body posture, the emotional context behind words. That's why she remembers what you said last year, not out of pettiness, because her brain stored emotional context with the memory. Emotion enhances recognition, and biology gifted women with that sensitivity for survival, motherhood, and cooperation. The world often underestimates the intelligence behind emotional attunement, but emotional intelligence is one of the highest forms of human intelligence, the ability to read people, anticipate intentions, and respond appropriately in business, leadership, relationships, and crises. This is not softness. It is strategy, power, and psychological awareness sharpened through evolution. Let's explore decision-making. There's a stereotype that women overthink, but what many call overthinking is often multi-layered thinking, a comprehensive evaluation of possibility, risk, emotion, long-term impact, and human behavior. Men are often trained to think in straight lines. Women are biologically and socially conditioned to think in dimensions. They don't only ask, "What should I do?" They ask, "How will this affect others? What does this mean tomorrow? Who might get hurt? What is the emotional cost? What's the truth behind the expression?" This is why women excel in environments requiring foresight, empathy, diplomacy, and psychological analysis. And this is also why dismissing their intuition is one of the biggest mistakes society repeatedly makes. When a woman senses danger, disrespect, dishonesty, or emotional withdrawal, she's rarely imagining it. Her nervous system is responding to signals, subtle, unconscious, but deeply real. That uneasy feeling, that sudden silence inside her heart, that quiet awareness, those are evolutionary alarms developed for protection. Let's talk relationships. A woman often senses emotional distance before a man even realizes he is pulling away. She reads micro behaviors, shorter text, different tone, delayed responses, eye contact shifting, energy changing. To some, this looks like sensitivity. In truth, it's neurological scanning, attachment instinct, emotional pattern tracking. She feels the emotional earthquake long before the ground cracks. And in professional life, women can detect deceit and insincerity with greater accuracy. That is why studies show women often outperform men in negotiation scenarios that require empathy and emotional reading. When a woman says, "Something doesn't feel right," understand that centuries of evolution and neuroscience are speaking through her. When she observes without reacting, when she asks questions quietly, when she pauses before responding, she is processing, weighing, analyzing, protecting, calculating. This is not weakness. This is intelligence in its most human form, a blend of intuition and logic that science is finally beginning to honor. Women do not guess. They perceive, they understand without needing proof first. Their instincts are often early warnings the world learns to acknowledge only in hindsight. And often, the strongest woman in the room is not the one speaking the loudest, but the one quietly read everything that others fail to see. They don't just survive, they biologically outlast. When we talk about strength, most people imagine physical power, muscles, or visible toughness. But nature designed women with a deeper, quieter, more strategic resilience, a resilience rooted in survival biology. From the cellular level to hormonal defense systems, women carry a biological advantage that has helped them endure pandemics, plagues, and harsh living conditions throughout history. When populations faced famine, disease, war, or environmental stress, women statistically lived longer. This isn't coincidence. It is a built-in survival architecture, one that science has studied but society still underestimates. Women's bodies operate with immune intelligence, a heightened biological defense mechanism shaped by evolution to protect life, nurture offspring, and ensure the survival of future generations. Their immune system reacts faster to infections, neutralizes pathogens more effectively, and recovers with greater stability. Estrogen isn't just a hormone. It acts as a shield, empowering immune cells, controlling inflammation, and supporting healthy blood vessels, brain function, and heart performance. Meanwhile, testosterone, often celebrated for strength in men, suppresses immune response, making men more vulnerable to severe infections and complications. History gives us evidence. During global pandemics like the Spanish flu and COVID-19, women showed stronger survival outcomes and lower fatality rates. Researchers observed that women's immune systems stay active longer and adapt faster to threats, a feature connected to both hormonal balance and genetic factors like the double X chromosome. That second X isn't just a genetic layer. It holds backup copies of critical immune function genes, giving women a biological advantage men do not have. When one immune gene is weakened, women often have a second copy to compensate. In biology, redundancy equals resilience, and women carry that resilience in every cell. But their survival strength isn't only in fighting infection, it's in their ability to maintain stability under stress. Their bodies are tuned to protect energy systems, preserve cellular function, and adjust metabolism in times of hardship. That's why, in extreme famine conditions, women historically survived longer. Their bodies know when to conserve and when to fight, shifting hormones and metabolic pathways to sustain life. Even the menstrual cycle, often misunderstood, is part of this adaptation. It's not weakness, it is a rhythmic system of repair, detoxification, regeneration, and hormonal intelligence. And during pregnancy, women's immune systems become even more dynamic, able to modulate and protect both their body and a developing child simultaneously, a biological miracle of balance and strength. Look at aging patterns worldwide. Women live longer than men on average. It's not luck. Their bodies break down slower, regenerate better, and manage oxidative stress differently. Their hearts receive hormonal support longer. Their brain pathways protect memory and emotional control. And their cells hold stronger repair mechanisms for decades. Even in diseases like cancer, women often respond more effectively to treatments due to immune and hormonal interactions, a complexity science is only beginning to fully understand. And when disease does strike, their endurance is remarkable. Women tend to push through pain, continue responsibilities, and maintain emotional functioning even while experiencing illness. They have learned survival not as force, but as persistence, as consistency, as quiet endurance, as the ability to keep going when others pause. Yet their strength extends beyond biology into emotional survival. Women can withstand heartbreak, betrayal, loss, and trauma, and somehow find a way to rebuild themselves piece by piece. Their bodies heal, their minds adapt, their spirit refuses to break easily. Survival for women has never been loud. It is not a burst of strength. It is a constant flame. A flame that burns not because no wind ever came, but because time and life tried to extinguish it, and it refused. Society often calls women emotional, fragile, or sensitive, yet sensitivity and survival walk hand in hand. To feel deeply and still endure, to break and still rebuild, to carry pain and still nurture life, that is not weakness, that is endurance engineered by nature. Women are not simply built to exist. They are built to overcome. They don't just survive storms, they outlast them, quietly, powerfully, and with a strength many fail to see until everything else has fallen away and she is still standing. Pain makes most people weaker, but for many women, it becomes their superpower. To the world, it might look like calm strength, composure, or patience, but beneath that calm is a nervous system that endures what most would crumble under. Science reveals a powerful truth: women are biologically wired to experience pain more intensely, yet they develop a higher tolerance for long-term discomfort, emotional strain, and physical challenge. This is not about glorifying suffering. It is about recognizing the extraordinary biological and psychological endurance that society often overlooks, dismisses, or misunderstands. From hormonal cycles to childbirth, from chronic pain conditions to daily life pressures, women navigate layers of discomfort, yet still rise, function, and push forward. In many ways, a woman's strength is quiet, not the loud roar of muscles in motion, but the steady heartbeat that refuses to stop even when life weighs heavy. Consider the monthly cycle, a physiological process that brings hormonal shifts, physical discomfort, emotional fluctuation, and internal inflammation. For many women, this cycle comes with real pain, cramps, headaches, backaches, fatigue, and still life doesn't pause. They wake up, work, study, cook, clean, mother, care, lead, think, achieve, and support others while their bodies are going through internal battles. Meanwhile, the world often dismisses this pain as normal, as if regular pain should simply be treated as part of existing. But that is the reality women adapt to. And that adaptation builds resilience, not by choice, but by biology and lived experience. Then there is childbirth, a moment that defines physiological endurance, a process that can stretch a body to unbelievable limits, activate powerful pain pathways, and demand incredible stamina. But childbirth is more than a physical event. It is a mental and emotional journey through vulnerability and strength, fear and courage, agony and triumph. And long after the birth, the journey of motherhood continues with sleepless nights, constant worry, emotional labor, and carrying responsibilities, all while the body recovers slowly and the mind learns to carry a new kind of responsibility. That is pain mixed with love, exhaustion mixed with purpose, strain mixed with resilience. It is strength hidden under tenderness. But pain in women's lives is not only physical, psychological, and emotional endurance, is an entire chapter on its own. Women often carry emotional burdens silently, absorbing stress, mediating conflicts, worrying about family, supporting loved ones, and managing emotional environments. Many women become the emotional anchor for others, expected to remain composed and understanding even when they themselves are struggling. Society often praises strength when it appears as force, but rarely appreciates strength when it appears as patience. When a woman listens, comforts, compromises, forgives, and tries again, that is not weakness. It is a form of emotional strength built through experience and empathy. Emotional pain leaves no scars on the skin, yet women carry it with grace, even when it weighs heavily on the heart. Scientific studies have shown that women often endure chronic pain longer. They seek solutions, they keep moving, they adapt, they wear invisible armor created not from ease, but from necessity. When life pushes them, they bend but rarely break. When setbacks come, they cry, and then they rise again. Tears are not surrender. They are release, reset, renewal. And that ability to feel deeply and still move forward, to break and still rebuild, is one of the rarest forms of human resilience. Think of every moment a woman held herself together when life was falling apart, every time she showed up tired, hurt, or overwhelmed but still gave her best. Think of the countless women who carry silent battles no one sees, health struggles, emotional wounds, responsibilities, expectations, yet continue to stand, to fight, to nurture, to hope. Pain did not soften them, it refined them. It sharpened their spirits. It made them fierce, compassionate, and unshakable. A woman's pain tolerance is not simply about nerves and hormones. It is about heart, endurance, and a will that refuses to fold. She may bend, but she rises. She may hurt, but she walks forward. She may fall, but she always finds the strength to stand again. And that ability to suffer, to withstand, to endure, and still shine is not just biology. It is power. It is resilience in its purest form. It is the silent strength that has carried humanity through time. The heart of a woman whispers before it screams, and that's where the danger lies. Not danger in her nature, but danger in how easily her early signals are ignored by her and by the world around her. Women are conditioned to endure, to carry pain quietly, to prioritize others, to stay gentle even when their body is pleading for attention. This quiet resilience is noble, but in matters of health, it can be costly. Heart disease in women rarely arrives with dramatic chest-clutching moments like movies show. It often arrives softly, quietly, disguised as fatigue, nausea, shoulder pain, jaw tightness, dizziness, or a sense of something is off. And because women are used to pushing through discomfort, they dismiss these early signs as stress, hormones, or tiredness. But beneath those whispers, a storm may be forming. This difference in symptoms is not just random. It is rooted in biology. Women's arteries are often smaller, and their heart disease can develop diffusely, not just as one big blockage. Their body sends subtle warnings first, not always obvious signals. And society has taught women to be caretakers, not complainants. They look after children, parents, partners, workplaces, households, and somewhere in that long list, their own health sinks to the bottom. They feel guilty resting. They push through exhaustion. They tell themselves, it's just stress. I'll be fine. I just need sleep, even when their body is begging them to listen. The whisper grows, but life keeps demanding. And she keeps giving. Think about how many women say, I'm just tired, when they are actually experiencing early heart strain. How many walk around feeling breathless but assume it's anxiety or low iron? How many feel pressure in their back or neck and chalk it up to posture or fatigue? Women's emotional intelligence sometimes works against them here. They rationalize physical warning signs. They connect aches to stress, sadness, or overwork because they are accustomed to linking mind and body. And in the process, the heart's early alarm is muted. Medical studies show that women are more likely than men to be misdiagnosed or dismissed when seeking help for heart symptoms. Not because doctors don't care, but because symptoms appear differently, and often subtly. A woman arrives with nausea, tiredness, or palpitations, and it gets labeled as anxiety, indigestion, panic, or exhaustion. She might be given rest advice when she needed urgent cardiac evaluation. She might be told to relax when she needed intervention. And loyal to her nature, she often believes those answers, trusting the world around her, trusting her own instinct to tolerate discomfort. But the heart is not a muscle to negotiate with. It does not soften because she is strong. It does not forgive because she is kind. It does not give extra time because she always puts others first. What makes this reality even more striking is that women often feel something wrong before tests even show it. That quiet intuition, that subtle internal alarm is not imagination, it is biology and instinct. Women's nervous systems are finely tuned to internal cues. Their body tries to communicate early to protect them. But when society praises endurance more than awareness, strength more than self-care, silence more than expression, those whispers get lost. Then one day, the heart stops whispering and begins to scream. And by the time that happens, it may already be late. This is why awareness is not luxury, it is survival. When a woman feels unexplained heaviness in her chest, sudden fatigue, lightheadedness, or a strange ache in her jaw or shoulder, she needs to trust herself. When she feels off, even without dramatic symptoms, she deserves to take that seriously. She does not need to collapse to justify her concern. She does not need permission to rest, to ask questions, to demand answers, to protect herself. The strongest women are not those who sacrifice their health quietly. The strongest are those who honor their body's wisdom before it breaks. A woman's heart has carried love, worry, responsibility, dreams, families, and futures. But it cannot carry everything forever without being listened to. One whisper can save a life if she hears it and if she believes it matters. Because her heart has always protected others, it's time she learns to protect it back. A woman's emotional world is not chaos. It is circuitry, chemistry, intuition, and memory operating with precision. What many misunderstand as mood swings or emotional waves is often the result of a highly sensitive emotional processing system built for connection, defense, and perception. Women don't just feel, they decode emotion like language. Picking up subtle cues most people never consciously register. A change in tone, a flicker in the eyes, a pause before a sentence. Emotion isn't weakness in women. It is a guide, a compass, a highly evolved tool. And science backs this. Women have stronger neural wiring in areas responsible for emotional recognition and empathy. They are more attuned to emotional micro-signals, which makes them exceptional communicators, negotiators, observers, and caretakers. But this heightened sensitivity is not only about connection. It's about survival. Emotional awareness has always been a shield and a weapon for women, helping them detect danger, dishonesty, and hidden intentions long before they show themselves. Yet emotional awareness is a double-edged sword. It gives women the strength to understand others deeply. But it also means they feel deeply. They carry emotional memories in a way that lives in their nervous system, not just their mind. A harsh tone can replay, a broken trust can echo, a moment of neglect can build a quiet scar inside, and still, they love, they forgive, they hope, they show up again. That is emotional courage. That is not weakness. That is a bravery so silent the world rarely recognizes it. Women can hold anger without lashing out, sadness without collapsing, and heartbreak without losing the capacity to love again. Emotional intensity does not drown them. It shapes them into deeper beings. Think about empathy, the ability to feel someone else's emotions as if they were your own. In many women, empathy flows naturally. It shows up in motherhood, in friendship, in sisterhood, in partnership, even in leadership. When a woman comforts someone, she is not simply offering words, she is emotionally stepping into their world. When she supports someone, she often takes on their emotional weight, helps them carry it, and helps them breathe again. And this internal empathy engine does not shut off when she is tired. She can be exhausted, but she will still worry about someone she loves. She can be hurting, but she will still protect others from her pain. She can be overwhelmed, but she will still reach out and say, "Are you okay?" even when no one has asked her the same. However, emotional strength does not mean emotional numbness. Women feel intensely, but they also recover intensely. They may cry, they may break down, they may question everything, but after the tears, they rebuild. Tears for a woman are not surrender, they are release, clearing space for clarity and resilience. Society often misinterprets emotion as weakness because it fears what it does not understand. True strength is not the absence of emotion, it is the ability to feel deeply and still stand. Women stand again and again because their emotional landscape is rich, not fragile. There is a reason women thrive in roles of mentoring, healing, negotiating, and connecting. There is a reason they excel in psychology, medicine, teaching, counseling, social leadership. Their emotional depth gives them insight that data alone can't provide. Logic tells you what is happening. Emotional intelligence tells you why. And when women combine logic and empathy, they become unstoppable. Yet emotional intelligence also demands boundaries. Many women give emotionally until they are drained because they were raised to care, to sacrifice, to be strong for everyone. Over time, some build emotional armor, not because they stopped feeling, but because they felt too much for too long. Even then, their heart does not harden, it simply becomes wiser. Hurt teaches them discernment. Betrayal teaches them caution. Loss teaches them depth, and self-love teaches them balance. The emotional world of a woman is not fragile glass. It is tempered steel wrapped in velvet. She can feel with intensity, love with depth, suffer quietly, heal slowly, and still rise stronger than before. Emotion does not weaken her. Emotion refines her. It turns life into meaning, connection into strength, and pain into power. The world may never fully understand the emotional architecture of a woman, but every time she rises from something that tried to break her, she proves that sensitivity is not a flaw. It is her superpower. Women's endurance is one of the most underestimated strengths in human nature. While society often highlights physical strength, who can lift more, run faster, fight harder, it quietly overlooks the incredible stamina that women demonstrate every single day, not only in athletics, but in life, in emotional storms, in pain tolerance, in persistence, and in the long haul of responsibilities and stress. Science continuously reveals something fascinating. Women are biologically wired for endurance, resilience, and survival in ways that often surpass men. This isn't a competition. It's an acknowledgement of nature's design. From immune function to stress response and even life expectancy, women consistently show stronger long-term adaptive strengths. Studies of extreme endurance events, ultra marathons, long-distance swimming, multi-day mountain cycling have begun to show surprising patterns. Men may start out with speed and explosiveness, but women frequently outperform in ultra-endurance challenges. Their bodies utilize fuel more efficiently, break down muscle slower, and maintain steady energy longer. Their mitochondrial efficiency, the part of cells responsible for powering endurance, is often higher. Fatigue resistance under prolonged stress. Women win here too, not by brute force, but by biological intelligence. In survival science, women consistently demonstrate stronger longevity patterns. Across nearly every nation and demographic, women live longer. Longevity researchers call this the female survival advantage, influenced by hormonal regulation, genetic security from 2X chromosomes, and higher immune tolerance. That alone speaks volumes. But physical endurance is just one dimension. Emotional endurance is equally profound. Women are often labeled as emotional, Yet the truth is, they endure emotional pain with remarkable strength. Their brain wiring allows deeper emotional processing and recovery planning, where some retreat from emotional stress. Many women analyze, feel, process, adjust, and then stand again. Look at mothers, caretakers, frontline health workers, teachers, roles that demand patience and stamina more than aggression. Even in workplaces and relationships, women absorb stress silently at times, continuing to function, to excel, to multitask at levels many do not even see. It's not weakness, it's adaptive capacity. Emotional endurance isn't about lack of feeling, it's about feeling deeply and still moving forward. That is strength. And if we broaden our lens further, women's resilience through pain tells another extraordinary story. Science shows women have a different relationship with pain. Their threshold isn't necessarily lower or higher, it's adaptive. They can function under pain more effectively. Especially cyclic pain, monthly hormonal cycles, childbirth potential, and hormonal fluctuations prepare the female nervous system to withstand discomfort and return to normal activity faster. Even in illness, research shows women fight disease longer and more effectively due to stronger immune intelligence, though this also makes them more prone to autoimmune conditions. Survival comes with trade-offs, but the evolutionary pattern remains. Women are built to persist. When stress hits, women frequently use social bonding, emotional communication, and neural connectivity to manage it. They recruit support, create community, and problem solve collaboratively. That is not only biology, it is strategy. Stress hormones affect women differently. Oxytocin balances cortisol, promoting resilience through connection rather than isolation. Nature designed cooperation as a strength pathway, not weakness. And society, for far too long, misinterpreted that. What's striking is that when everything collapses, emotionally, socially, or physically, women often become the stabilizers. In emergencies, in families, in life transitions, they step into roles requiring inner reserves many people do not even realize they possess. The truth is, if endurance had a face, it would not be carved in muscle alone. It would be carved in patience, in strength of spirit, in the ability to adapt, endure, and rise again. Women carry that design. And if you truly want to support a woman in your life, mother, partner, sister, daughter, friend, understand this endurance is not infinite. Even the strongest structures need care. Appreciate her resilience, but also lighten her load. Stand beside her. Celebrate her strength without expecting her to carry everything, because women do not need to be strong to prove worth. They already are. But a society that recognizes, supports, and honors feminine endurance becomes stronger too. Respecting endurance rather than exploiting it is maturity. True awareness means remembering that what may look soft is often unbreakable, and what appears gentle may be engineered by nature for extraordinary survival.